With your interpretation of Saroo, did you just want to capture his spirit, or did you not necessarily want to impersonate him, but bring as much of his physical attributes to the screen as well?
Yeah, I guess it was about capturing his essence. I'm never going to look like him. You know, we could have put loads of plastic makeup on me and it just would have been a hammy performance. But, you know, the idea is to relate to the young boy struggle, do as much as I can to become that Australian. And the rest of it was just trying to make it honest. And yeah, that's really the hardest part.
And this story, is it a testament to the human spirit?
Yeah, you're saying all the words. It is a testament to the human spirit. No, it is. Yeah, absolutely.
So this story is such a testament to the human spirit, isn't it? Really, I can't imagine that you couldn't not want to do this. It's too irresistible.
It is. Yeah. No, you sometimes get stories where you think, okay, we could develop this and maybe it will be a film. But once you hear the story, you're like, it's our job to make sure it's the best version of itself. And that's a different challenge, but an exciting one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Lion is such a story about the triumph of the human spirit and this incredible boy who has survived, avoiding enormous peril and was adopted by a very loving family. Sorry, I've lost my whole train of thought. Getting tired.
Dev Patel is providing your subtitling.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay. And with a business head on, your producers, so it's been adapted from a book. So the complication, first of all, is you love the story, but then you've got to option the book, yes? So what was that like?
It was a pact, really, with the real family and with Saroo. So it was saying that we would keep the story set in Tasmania, that we would film as close as possible to the locations within India, and that we would show the family and how, you know, love in a way has been such a strong bond with that family, and, you know, not crazily reset it anywhere else. So they saw the film and really fell in love with it, and that was our best review.
I think it would be easy to sort of presume that composing comes as part of the post-production process, but I would imagine actually the reality is that you're involved much sooner than that. Am I right? Or?
Well, normally I would say it is ideal if it's earlier, but in this case we were pretty late in the process, so I think that, well, the film was already edited and everything was done, and we were starting
we had a first cut that was pretty close to. It wasn't final cut, but it was a pretty close to final cut when we started, which meant we had to sort of jump in. They had been working on the film for a long time and had sat with it, and we just had to sort of dive into this world, which was a lot. And I think having two of us really helped just dive into it.
I was going to say, because you're collaborating, and normally composing is such a solitary process, isn't it? So how did the collaboration work between the parents?
Well, in the beginning we started to get some ideas for ourselves, so we worked in separate studios, and but we were always like sending ideas back and forth. I think that's important to get a kind of strong attitude for yourself. But because we are in a way not attached to that, I mean, I can sense something, but I'm not like that has to be the idea. We had a lot of times that we were, you know, exchanging things, and we grabbed something out of the idea and transform it. And then we met in LA for 4 weeks and recorded the rest together, and that was very nice.
Yeah. In the end, we needed sort of our own spaces for the beginning part, but then we came together in the middle of the process and started taking all of the ideas and the themes that we had and figuring out what was working, and working with Garth. And Garth has a great sense of music, and he has great taste in music. Yeah. but he's a music lover, and I think that he really understood what was right for his film. And so when you start collaborating with someone like that, it brings out the best in what you want. And it's such a beautiful film that I think both of us really wanted to bring a lot of ourselves to the film as well.
We had also the advantage because we are both performing artists and we both have records. So Garth already had he knew our music beforehand, and that helps a lot, you know.
And with regards to the theme of the film as well, obviously, has a huge emotional core to it. So for you as composers, do you kind of have to rein in how much kind of how much you don't want to overscore it to lead the audience.
Well,
if you see what I mean.
that was the biggest challenge of the film was restraint, and Garth really wanted to have the score. He never wanted it to overpower, and when it was getting too big, we always sort of had to pull back, and that was the fine line of capturing. He was always searching for the honesty of the story and the honesty of the emotion. That I think the beauty of it is it gives space to the viewer. No one's really. We are creating an emotional space, but nobody's shoving it in the face, and I think that's really important because the acting is so strong and the story is a true story, and I think that it's a very relatable story for a lot of people, and it touches people, makes them think about their families and their people who are far away, and there's so many universal themes that we needed to give space for that as well for the viewers.
And culturally as well, you're crossing cultures, so was that quite nice and stimulating to maybe potentially working with instruments that you may not have looked at?
Well, to be quite honest, I have the feeling I was not thinking. I mean, of course there are different settings, and a lot of the Indian shots are really beautiful, and but I have to say, I don't see that at all as a kind of different world. We actually felt that it is very modern, and that in a way, it doesn't really matter if the kid lives in India and it gets lost, or if it's living in a different place in the world. Everyone who knows that a 5-year-old kid is actually in the wrong train, getting 2,000 kilometers away from home, you totally know what's going on. And I think that doesn't really matter where you are.
Now, you had the job of adapting the book to the screenplay. What was the initial challenge for you?
The initial challenge, there were two challenges. One was, do we tell this story from the front in chronological order, or do we begin with our adult stars and then loop backwards to the child? We decided in the end that the story was so primal and so powerful that we'll begin at the beginning with the 5-year-old child and let it flow from there. And the second challenge was, these are real people that whose stories we are adapting, and you want to be true to their reality of who they are. At the same time, you have to make changes and compressions because you're trying to tell the story in the sense of being a good yarn in 2 hours, not 15 hours.
I was going to say, because that is always a challenge as well, isn't it? Really compressing a story that has so much information in a book and being able to tell that visually as well as through the narrative.
Yeah, the good thing about this is that the story itself, even though it's incredibly emotional and primal and vast in the sense that it spans 25 years, the actual bare bones of the story are really simple. The journey that happened is really simple. This boy got lost, he went through certain traumas, he got saved, and eventually 25 years later he'd never shaken the memories of loss, and a technology arrived that made it possible for him to do something about that.
Did you go on your own personal journey of discovery with this as well?
Yeah, I went on a journey to India with Saroo, the real character who Dev plays, and I went to all the places where everything happened, and I met his birth mother, and then I went to Tasmania and I met his adoptive parents and all his friends and what his life is like in Hobart. It was really helpful to me to do all that for a month before I began knuckling down and writing the screenplay.
I would have thought a real privilege.
It was a privilege. It was a beautiful experience.